Ethan, this mission of yours is gonna cost you dearly.
Yeah, I don't think many people are coming out of the film thinking like this.
If anything happens to them, there's no place that I won't go to kill you. That is written.
I am the most complete fighter in the world. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
Stick around. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Dodge this.
We're back. Matthew's back. Tom Cruise is back. And it's Dodge This. It's Action Movies Unleashed Season 2, Episode 9. We are talking Mission Impossible 7. Dead Reckoning Part 1. Too many numbers? You be the judge. And the man, the legend, the mystery. Where was he? What was he doing? Let's find out. My name is Simon Fielder, and I am joined once again by my compatriot over in London. It's Matthew Heighton.
Hi there, it's lovely to be back. Sorry I've been away. Really exciting stuff. Can't really talk about it because if I talk about it, this podcast will explode in 5 seconds.
Very nice. He's tied it straight back in, and that's why we got him in. Matthew, great to see you. If it's any consolation to you, the film that you didn't see on the last episode, Black Lotus, was very bad. If you recall, prior to that, we talked about how there's not enough action films and we just need to pick the film and talk about it regardless. And You managed to dodge the bullet by the first dreadful film we talked about not being on the podcast. However, that Jackie Chan, John Cena movie is coming out pretty soon, mate. So that's going to come back to bite you.
I love both those people and I will not judge it before I see it. So there you go.
That is fair. It's in the diary. It's going to be an upcoming episode. Well, you've had an extra bit of time, it turns out, which must mean you have watched seasons upon seasons of TV shows from the 1990s and movies, despite being the busiest man alive.
Unfortunately, I have been the busiest man alive and I've not managed to watch much, but
incredible.
Because I've been busy, I've also had little windows of time where, say, I'm in town and then I'm like, oh, I need to be here in 3 hours. So I have snuck in a few cinema trips.
Lovely.
So I did get to see the new Indiana Jones.
Let's go. Indy.
You know what? Not as bad as I was expecting.
And that is the best review I've heard.
I was expecting it to be like Crystal Skull, like that bad. Yeah. But the beginning of it felt like a proper Indiana Jones film. Everyone's saying this. I'm not going to say what it is, just in case you haven't seen it. But the end is just bananas. In two bananas. I know, like, Indiana Jones doesn't shy away from like supernatural or whatever. But what they do with this one, it just really took me out of the film. But
oh, no.
The build up to it, I really enjoyed. I really thought they let Indiana Jones be old Indiana Jones.
Huh.
Like he's still running around in bits of action, but it didn't feel like he was just trying to be the same guy. He did feel like time had passed and stuff. You know, they let him be sort of almost regretful and a bit full of bitterness. I thought it was very well handled. I thought if I watched that straight after the original trilogy, take Crystal Skull out of it, I wouldn't mind. It's definitely like not the best one. It's not the original trilogy, but it couldn't be. I think Phoebe Waller-Bridge was brilliant in it, and I would imagine they're going to hand over a franchise to her. Like that character is good enough to take that on, and I think everything else worked. I just think the end was a bit too much.
So if I, for example, who has not seen Crystal Skull, can I just skip Crystal Skull? Or is it better if I watch Crystal Skull so I know how bad it can be and then I'll feel better about this one?
Maybe. I generally want to rewatch Crystal Skull to see if it's as bad as I remember. But I think they learned a lot of lessons. Like Crystal Skull was just a big CGI fest. And like that really weird sort of almost like cutscene CGI at times. Whereas this, I think they learned like what was good about the originals, and I generally thought the plot was going. I generally thought like the way they tied in little bits of the old one without being a nostalgia fest was great. Like a few little nods to the originals, a few little like moments here and there. I thought it was great. I really think it's got more stick than it deserves.
Well, I've heard quite sort of mixed opinions on it, but I would say the majority of them come down on the fine sort of side.
But again, like it's a 3-star film.
Yeah. And as we've said before, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, and I think if you like,
unless it's a follow up to several 5-star films, in which case, I feel like I might remember this turn of phrase a little bit later on in the podcast. No spoilers.
Okay. I also watched Asteroid City. If you're interested,
I am interested actually because I have not seen a Wes Anderson movie since. The Royal Tenenbaums, I think.
What's wrong with you?
I liked Rushmore, liked Steve Zissou. Royal Tenenbaums, didn't love it. And I think I just sort of was nonplussed, I guess, or not motivated to see the one since then. And that leads us to now.
I'm shaking my head, viewers.
Yeah.
I had a Wes Anderson themed wedding. That's how much I like Wes Anderson. You were there.
But people, when I say this to them, often say, oh, don't bother with blah, 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 blah. Just watch this one. Watch Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of janky ones in there too. I'm sort of okay with my decision up to this point. I'm happy to be steered in the other way.
Asteroid City is beautiful. It's absolutely stunning to look at. The colours in it alone is amazing. Which is weird because there's a weird framing narrative to it, and I think a lot of people got put off by that, but I really liked it.
Okay.
Absolute up there for me with Wes Anderson's. I can't wait to rewatch it.
What if I was going to dip back in now?
Grand Budapest.
Straight in with Budapest.
Yeah, it's the best one. It gives you like his style to the nth degree.
Okay.
Yeah, and then maybe from the ones you've not seen, Darjeeling Limited.
Yeah.
I think you'd like.
All right. Well, as soon as I watch the end of Cobra Kai season 2, I'll pop on Grand Budapest Hotel afterwards.
Don't. Just watch that episode for the fight.
Okay. It's still, I keep forgetting is the problem. Netflix has got too many other things to recommend to me, unfortunately. It just gets lost. I've only been to the cinema once since last we spoke, and that was to see Mission Impossible. So I can't really speak to anything I've watched, and I've spoken about it for the last several episodes. I think Silo on Apple TV.
I
still haven't watched the last episode.
Is it good?
Yeah, I've enjoyed it actually, and it is tangentially related to this, given that it has Rebecca Ferguson in it. The one movie I did watch, and I actually watched this in the last day, was Rogue Nation, and I will explain why a little bit later.
Okay.
Intrigue. Important to note, Matthew and I have both seen Mission Impossible in the last few days, and we haven't said a word to each other about it.
I already got a gauge from your one-word text.
I was just really wanting to talk to you about it after I came out of the cinema, and I was like, no, I guess we have to do it on the podcast. It'll be more
I'm really excited to talk. Let's
genuine.
Let's blast through the trailers so we can talk about it.
Okay, hitch 'em up, guys. It's trailers time. Okay, I've kept it to 3 this time. What order do you want to do them in? Do you want to build or do you want to start big?
I would say, given on the document we have...
Yes, that's how organised we are.
For favourites, if you went from worst to best for me, I would go 3, 1, 2.
Interesting. Oh, okay, interesting.
What would
3
you do?
being your least favourite.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start there in that case. It's The Channel. I added this because it's a solid DTV looking thing. It's directed by a guy called William Kaufman, who's directed a bunch of other DTV looking things. And while this one does have a very DTV taste, it looks like it could be a cut above. Also, I love a heist movie.
Yeah.
But I also know how difficult it is to make a good heist movie on a low budget. So...
But again, we've seen stuff do very creative stuff on a low budget. So again, just from the trailer, this looks very slick. It doesn't look low budget. I think doing a simultaneously simultaneous cinema and DTV release is probably smart.
Yeah.
Because it probably doesn't have the marketing budget to like compete against all the blockbusters.
No.
So where would I go to the cinema and watch this? Probably not, unless like something really drew me there.
Or you had a 3-hour window and an unlimited pass.
I do have that, and that is often what gets me in the cinema.
My fear is that the opportunity to watch this in the cinema will not be presented to me. I think it will have a very limited release, right?
Yeah, same. But again, I said this was my least favorite trailer. Nothing wrong with this trailer. I would absolutely watch this film. And it could be. I feel like it could be exactly that sort of film that just suddenly surprises you. And you go,
I hope it does.
More people should see this.
Yeah. Well, it's out on streaming from now. In fact, from mid-July. So no promises, but maybe I'll take a look at it before our next episode. And hey, maybe it's great.
Yeah,
or maybe we should just both watch it and deliberately talk about it next episode, since that's our new MO.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what else is coming out or when John Cena and Jackie Chan is coming out. That's the main one in the calendar. It looks okay, doesn't it? And I will say, for a low budget movie, which sort of seems to hinge largely on gun stuff rather than, hand to hand or fight stuff, it does look quite practical, which I like. Doesn't look like loads of CG muzzle flare and those types of After Effects bullet hits. It does look like they've at least invested in real bang bang gun things.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I'll give it a look.
I'm going to give it a look.
Okay, right, what was your
number one? The one
number one is your second favorite.
Yeah.
Very interesting. This is a good turn of events.
Yeah,
I like this. Number one is just the sort of masthead, big budget, explosive, enormo announcement. It's the new Shah Rukh Khan movie out of India called Jawan, which from the trailer, I couldn't really tell you what it's about, but it does look like the most Bollywood movie we've seen since the last Shah Rukh Khan movie that we watched.
It looks bananas.
It looks like the spiritual successor to Pathan in every way you would hope and fear.
Yeah.
It's Shah Rukh Khan in, I think, a double role, right? Which is a thing in Indian cinema where they play two
It's the thing
characters.
in Hollywood cinema as well. It's most of Eddie Murphy's 90s career.
Is true. Yeah. It's big in Indian cinema, popularized chiefly by Eddie Murphy in America. And Jeremy Irons in Dead Ringers.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a remake of Dead Ringers, I think, recently. Anyway, it's not so much of a thing. It blew up the internet on the day it came out. The trailer has it has so many views. They love stats in India, so there was a lot of like, this trailer got more views than the Pathan trailer, blah, 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 blah. It looks like it's going to be an absolute balls to the wall Bollywood epic. It's got songs. It's got so much slow-mo and speed ramping. It's got action. It's a mass entertainer writ large. I think I am going to be in India when this comes out. And the thing that makes me saddest is that there's nowhere to watch it with English subtitles. So the options are I could watch it in a cinema and get the real experience, but not understand anything that's happening, or I have to wait till it's out on streaming.
I'm going to go and check it at the cinema, but I already know how loud it is at the cinema.
Yes. Based on the recordings from when we went to see Pathan.
I was generally just trying to find out when it's out in the UK, because usually they get a release.
Worldwide these days, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's 8th of September.
Here we go. Interestingly, my top result was 7th of September. International. Is that UK?
Well, this is the thing. It kept giving me 3 different dates. And now down, it's saying 7th of September.
Let's say the average release date is
7.5 of September.
Yeah. Midnight. That's pretty soon, actually. That's not too far off. I do hope I get to see this somehow in the cinema, because,
I'll live stream it to you.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
And get banned from the cinema.
Like with Patan, it's 100% like an extra star for seeing this in the cinema, I think.
Yeah.
So it's going to be so loud. It's just going to be so loud. Anyway, it looks like it's going to be an extraordinary feast for the senses. And so it is right up there on the list of things to see after Jackie Chan and John Cena.
Stop giving that a bad review before you've seen it.
I'm sorry. I reserve judgment. You have been judged. There's one more trailer, and I'm surprised, but not super surprised actually. Matt's favorite trailer of the trailers is, and I deliberately put this in here because I feel like Michael Jai White has got a bad rap in our trailer reviews of the last few episodes because he's been putting out trailers for movies that just don't look very good. And this is the trailer for Outlaw Johnny Black, the spiritual successor / direct follow-up to his writing and directing treat Black Dynamite, which I still haven't seen.
What? Well, this is why this is my favourite trailer, because I love Black Dynamite.
You've seen Black Dynamite?
Yeah.
Tell me all about it, please.
Everyone saw Black Dynamite when it came out. Yeah.
Did they?
Dynamite.
Who is everyone?
Everyone I talked to. I quote that film quite a lot.
Incredible scenes.
Yeah.
I didn't realise this.
It's brilliant. It's so it's definitely like, they definitely love blaxploitation films in that sort of like the way that Tarantino does it in a gritty way. They do it in a very funny way. The comedy beats in Black Dynamite and this trailer are incredible. Their tone is like pitch perfect for that era of sort of like over serious for what is happening on screen. And I love Black Dynamite so much. I had no idea this was coming out.
Wow.
And within 2 seconds of watching it, I was like, oh my God, this is like Black Dynamite. And then went from the makers of Black. I was like, oh my God.
Yes.
I can't wait. They're so like, if it's as good as I'm hoping, I'll just be laughing all the way through. And like, but the thing is, they do everything in a funny way, but they also do everything well. So it's that real sort of like to really isolate any international listeners, the way that Les Dawson used to
playing the piano.
Play the piano badly. He had to be very good at playing the piano to do it.
What an incredible cultural reference, Matthew.
Yeah.
Hats off for that. That is a great analogy, though.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything more. So basically, to do something badly well, you have to really know. Like the other reference I'd use is Garth Marenghi. Like you have to really know how to do it well before you can do it badly, intentionally.
Yeah,
and I think that is what they do really well. They know how to be era appropriate bad for effect.
Yeah,
and I think that is a skill in itself.
Fair play. Oh, well, I'm A, delighted that it looks fun, and B, more delighted that you have seen Black Dynamite and it comes highly recommended. I don't know. I just don't know. I was probably too busy watching Chinese sniper movies. I mean,
it's probably, what? It's over 10 years, right?
10?
It's got to be.
Gosh, I didn't realise it was that old.
2009, yeah. I just moved to London and me and my housemate watched it so much.
Incredible.
Because it's everything you sort of love in that sort of it really plays into like 70s kung fu movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like
and it has like a little bit of that, a little bit of blaxploitation, a little bit of like Blazing Saddles sort of vibes.
Obviously the Shaft references and stuff like that. In Black Dynamite is you really should watch it.
Okay, it's going on the list. Let me just delete Cobra Kai season 2.
I really feel like this says more about my people I talk to about films. I feel like that was one of the films of 2009 that
That's
everyone
incredible.
Just loved.
I don't know anyone that's seen it. Well, I know one now.
How?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
I bought the DVD on release day.
Wow. I think maybe what's interesting is that the people that have seen it and love it are not fans of Michael Jai White from Undisputed 2. It sort of exists in a completely different sphere of movie fandom, which I find very interesting. Like he does get to karate some people up in it still.
I'm going to rewatch it this week. It's made me really.
Okay.
I've not watched it for years.
Okay. I'm gonna add it. I'm gonna add it to my list. I hope I get some time this week to catch up on some movies. So my goodness, the never-ending list never ends, getting longer to the end.
Wow, bleak.
Thank you very much. It's been a long couple of weeks. Pretty solid batch of trailers there, actually, I would say. I'm happy to watch all 3 of these movies, and that is
Same.
increasingly a rarity.
Yeah.
Well, with our appetitos whet, Matthew, would you like to accompany me through to 2 separate cinemas where we watched this movie?
Yeah.
And now, our feature presentation.
Dodge this.
Yeah, we did it. We made it to Mission Impossible 7, Dead Reckoning. Brackets, part 1. They didn't even put it in brackets. So confident are movies nowadays with calling themselves part 1 that they just put it in the title. Into the Spider Multi-Megaverse, part 1. Fast X. Actually, they didn't put part 1 in that. They just called it Fast X, and then some people didn't know. I think maybe it's to stop people being annoyed with it being not wrapped up at the end. Anyway, where do we start on this, Matthew? I came to this off the back of Fallout being one of my favourite action movies of recent years, and I had very high hopes and expectations. I went to see this at 11:30 in the morning in an empty cinema. It's the dream setting. What was your lead up?
I went in. I had a late finish, but a window.
He had a window, quite a big window for this movie, I have to say.
Basically, I was finishing work on my day, and I thought I can just go straight to the cinema. Went to the IMAX.
Oh.
And I sat too close to the screen, and shit you not, I sat so close to the screen that my shoulders and neck were hurting the next day because my head was turning so much. It felt like I'd been to the gym.
That's very funny.
But I
Conversely, the screen I saw it on, I sent you a picture of it, just
tiny.
being like, oh my goodness, there's no one in the cinema. And you were like, that screen is not big enough. And it's a rarity for me, but I was like, oh, I've got to go a bit closer. Like I moved forward rows. Whereas my fear, having only seen IMAX years ago in like a demo of IMAX, look at the stars or whatever it was. I've never seen like a feature film in IMAX. My fear is that wherever you sit, it's too close.
See, the thing with IMAX is it's designed to like immerse you. That's why I sat close. I was like, I want to feel like I sat too
mad.
Close.
Yeah. You were like on a simulator ride.
It was such a busy cinema. I couldn't like move. So I was like,
no.
Oh, okay.
That is sort of my worst nightmare. Maybe I'm hyperbolizing slightly, but being not able to move seats and just being like, okay, I've got to have a little chat with myself now. Don't let this ruin your enjoyment of the movie. Don't let this ruin your enjoyment of the movie.
I actually, after about 10 minutes, completely forgot about it. I was so engrossed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so with that build up, here's where I'm going to stake my opening on this. Before I hand the reins to you to explain the plot, good luck on that, mate.
It's easy.
I went in really excited, and I came out slightly disappointed.
That's every film for you.
No, don't be like that.
It really annoys you.
Because it's not true.
It's not true.
I literally just said Fallout is one of my favourite action movies of recent years.
Yeah.
And the reason I watched Rogue Nation in the last 2 days was to check I hadn't turned into a misery guts who doesn't like Mission Impossible anymore. And I liked Rogue Nation. I think it's good. So I'm trying to work out why this one
I think I know.
didn't hit for me.
I think I know. And we'll get into that in a second.
Okay, but let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, give me your quick, sentence.
Yeah.
If I felt
recap.
Slightly disappointed by it, how did you feel about it?
I really enjoyed it. I don't think it's up there with the like you say, the Fallouts and the best of the Mission Impossible series, but I still think it is pure cinema. I will get into this more in a second, but I still think it's a 4-star action film.
Okay. I'm probably coming in a 3.5, I would say.
You cannot knock what it does.
No, absolutely. And that's why I was sort of having this conversation with myself during the film where I was like, look, all of this is good, but why is it not making me feel anything?
Right.
And I think, well, perhaps let's circle back to that when we get a bit more in depth.
So here's the recap.
Here comes the plot.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, Part 1. It is a follow-up and a farewell to the Mission Impossible Tom Cruise series. The plot, I don't think you really need to see the other Mission Impossibles, first of all, but the plot is Tom Cruise's MIB officer.
Men in Black.
Men in Black, yeah. He's a Men in Black officer. I couldn't remember what the thing was. Ethan Hunt.
No.
He has been in the Impossible Mission unit for pretty much all of his life. He is coming towards the sort of end of his career. Probably doesn't think any missions are impossible at this point.
Fair,
I think it should just be called Mission Difficult.
Just called Tom Cruise's next mission.
Anyway, the plot is what appears to be Russian military and intelligence has developed an AI which is so advanced it can predict the behaviors of not only military but individuals. The AI is so good that it feeds into what I hate them using the term, the cloud, which is essentially all technology that is an analog. It then absorbs another AI, which corrupts it slightly, making it sentient and gives it an almost free will to want to survive on its own, which it predicts its own doom if it gets into the wrong hands. So it decides to hire humans to almost protect itself because it has predicted that the Mission Impossible people will take it down if it does not do so, which ultimately leads to the chain of events which send the Mission Impossible people into this, Ethan Hunt being the only human in any government sort of unit that believes that it should be destroyed, because every other government in the world sees that if they are the first to find this key, which is the literal key to the whole thing, they will have the power that will then be years, if not centuries ahead of a new AI arms race.
Okay, quite good sum up there, Matt. Thank you very much for that. Thanks. I think this leads me into there's things that I didn't love about this, and there's things that I thought were very good about this. So let's start with, I think, the overarching thing that kept me not as engaged as I would have liked is the baddie is AI. And that for me was very distancing. I was like, I don't care about it. It felt to me like a plot from a 1990s movie.
Just feel like, and I'm obsessed with this genre, man versus technology.
Yes.
I didn't see the AI as the baddie, though.
Right. Well, they do, put a face on a baddie so that there's somebody for Tom Cruise to fight.
That annoyed me. That felt like very like Swordfish.
But ostensibly, there's a lot of the movie where they're like, whoa, no, what's happening? What is it called? What's the actual
entity?
The entity. Something's like, oh my God, something's going wrong. Oh, the entity is hacking the something. Oh no, the entity has taken control. And it's just this like amorphous, oh, it can do everything with technology. So you can't, like, we just have to get a key and then we turn it off. But it's not, there's no like face of it, I guess. In all the other missions, there's like a baddie who's like, that one in Rogue Nation who talks like that. He was great,
Zai Morales is that thing, and also like the government are that thing. I think thinking the entity as the baddie is the wrong way to do it. Like the entity is essentially, if this was a 60s spy thriller or set in the 40s, the entity is the race to the atom bomb.
Yeah.
The fact that it's sentient and the fact that it works this way is because this is cinema now for the next 10 years. You are going to see so much AI as the villain.
What is interesting is that obviously this movie was made, during COVID or several years ago, before everyone and the news was talking about AI. So there's a part of me that's like, oh, well, fair play on really, getting ahead of the curve on that one.
One of the downfalls with this, and with this sort of, when technology becomes the sort of MacGuffin, when it becomes the sort of the evil in any film, I think it dates very fast because technology moves so fast, especially now, especially AI.
Yeah.
That the language of it also evolves very quickly. Like I always think of Die Hard when John McClane goes into the Nakatomi Plaza, which is supposed to be the most advanced technology plaza of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the language they use is obviously like, it's like hearing someone go, you know, and they actually use this in this film. It's like going, I'm going to get on the web. You know, language dates fast.
Yeah.
And I think that is a real issue. Like, and the fact that they had to anthropomorphize the AI.
Thank you. That is the word I was looking for during my whole little tirade there.
I think that it's such a complicated thing because we think of the only way we can think of sentience is in terms of that sort of, you know, personified.
I'm sorry, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
Exactly. Whereas I think that has almost blindsided us to the fact that it is not supposed to be that. It's not supposed to be like a thinking machine. It is a calculating machine, and it is calculating its own demise. And the fact that it's sentient but acting human is always a problem, because how else do you portray that in cinema?
Right.
Well, I think
and also, like, we don't know what that really means in life, right? We're like, oh no, the AI thinks for itself, but it's like we're thinking about it in comparing it to a human.
I'm obsessed with AI. I'm quite excited about AI. I think I'm one of the only people like, but I think that's the thing. You can't think of it in terms of like one brain. Like it's essentially like this is to go off topic very quickly. I remember reading a thing a few years ago about the arms race of AI, which is what this film's about. And the problem is, once the genie's out of the bottle, which is the term they always use, is because AI learns so fast potentially. Someone said, imagine having the 12 greatest minds of history, all time, the best thinkers, the most who have advanced us the most, sat around a table and just learning. That's all they do is they learn. But every time one of them learns something, they all learn it. So once they can jump off from there, they all learn it. Then times it out to the nth degree. By the time you've had it turned on for, I think they said a week, you're also already nearly 3 centuries ahead in thinking.
Right.
And
it's like just compound interest. You know?
So that is what this whole film is essentially about. It's that idea that whoever gets to that first, essentially is so far ahead and so advanced that can you stop it? Which is generally the concern in society now, especially especially military and stuff.
And they do sort of make the movie about a race to get a thing rather than like loads of scenes of hacking and like we've got to destroy the AI, even though that is who takes control of the AI wins, you know, right?
But I think I always, me and my friend always call this we call him Dr. Exposition. There's always something in a film where, because something is a complicated idea, how are they going to use that in exposition? There's a lot of Dr. Exposition in this.
My word, there is.
I think that is where this film's downfall. I think had they just let, quote unquote, the entity do what it does, because I found that really, really exciting. The idea, because again, it's that thing of like Ving Rhames' character and Simon Pegg's character has always been like the tech guys. They're the best of the best, but even they are now falling behind because of how quick this thing can learn and do. There's a scene in the airport where basically it raises Tom Cruise from the American agency chasing him, and that is really cool to watch. But then they see how this entity does it to Isai Morales, and it's a game ahead. And that is essentially what the film is about and should be about, is technology outpacing us.
Yeah, and I suppose that is, you know, the underlying message.
Yeah.
But for me as a viewer, I just found I couldn't engage with the threat because the threat was an amorphous compute or like a screen with a twizzly sort of vortex on it.
See, I just tune that out. I hate when they do that. I do hate that. But the thing for me was exactly what I think the film is people racing to get there first.
Yeah.
So you like, and I think Isai Morales is a great villain. I think he's a great villain. I think his agenda, like, that's it. This entity's got agency, but this guy's got an agenda. And the fact that he is almost prophetic in his belief, like they allude to the idea that this AI is so advanced, it's almost like a god. And so he becomes this almost dogmatic villain. I think that's a really good way to play it. And I think the fact that he feels like, because he's in league with this entity who can predict behavior, everything he prophesizes comes to pass.
Mm.
And I think that is more of a way to look at it, is like this prophet who essentially has, malignant intent
Yeah.
is the wing, because that is the issue for the film. It's not the AI, it's who gets the AI.
Yes.
Because
yes.
that's it. Like, if a government gets it, it's their agenda. So, like, take away the AI, other than it is this amazing tool. And I think you've got a really good sort of film about, the darker side of human intent. That was deeper than that. That's deeper than I meant to go, I think.
I do like your spin on it. I don't think that affected my enjoyment of it watching it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't think many people are coming out of the film thinking like this.
But also, there's bits in it, where like the AI can take control of all our digital devices. Oh no, so our communications are down. Oh, don't worry, we've just wired it into an old satellite. And you're like, that would have been interesting to see how, if you could only use analog technology in this particular caper, like in this caper where we were going to do it digitally using all our mega stuff. What if we had to do it using all these old tools? I felt like that would be an interesting approach.
But this is part one, and I feel like that is how it's going to go. I think, and you can't use that trick more than once, but you have to set that trick.
Yes.
And they've set that trick. Like, I think that's the other side of this. You're viewing this as a film in itself, when in fact it's half a film.
I do agree, but it also has to exist as a film, right?
Yeah. And I think this very much does. I think where they ended this film was a great choice. I thought the final set piece was just a great action set piece.
Yes, 100% agree on that. That is the highlight of the film by a long stretch, I would say.
Yeah. Really weirdly, the thing that didn't fall for me, I didn't mind it so much, but I felt they really pushed into the comedy of this film, and that's where it took it out for me.
Agree. It was a little bit too... I know it is a caper ostensibly, but it's like a spy caper, but sometimes it felt like capery, too capery.
This is a very big praise for him, rather than coming across as a bad thing. I think Simon Pegg is so funny. I think he probably poisoned the other actors, because I think there's a thing with humor where once you get a tone, like, because you could feel Tom Cruise playing off him, and those two obviously clearly get on.
Yeah.
And I think like Tom Cruise should have been a straight man in this.
Yeah, he's a bit more arch, isn't he? Having said that, and having just watched Rogue Nation, which I forgot how much of a part Pegg plays in that movie.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
In this movie, I found Pegg to be he looked like he was going to cry in almost every scene. I found him to be quite serious. Conversely, I think the whole Tom Cruise, Hayley Atwell relationship was the kind of super capery part of things that felt a bit too light for me.
So here's my only issue with the film. Like I say, I really enjoyed this. I could pick it apart a million times, but for a million like very focused, I wonder why reasons. I, as a whole, think this film works great. Take that sort of 90s personifying of technology out of it. But I felt like Hayley Atwell and Tom Cruise's relationship in this film hadn't earned the amount of sort of, not even feelings, the way he works for her because she's the lead lady didn't feel like an earned relationship, especially when you play that against Rebecca Ferguson's character, who's been in the series before. Who has history with the character both on and off screen. The way that they put Hayley Atwell's status into that, I think, was a real misjudgment in terms of disservice to character. I do think he could be like that with her and like really sort of somehow see, but I think I would rather see him seeing himself as this is where I was at, which is alluded to again at the beginning of when I became a Mission Impossible-er.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. Is it law that they were all baddies that got recruited to the IMF? Because
I didn't know that bit, and I couldn't remember it.
The thing with Hayley Atwell's character Grace is that she's a thief ostensibly, and I mean, this is not really a huge spoiler, but she gets entangled in the mission, and then they're like, "Do you want to join the IMF?" Like we all did when we got plucked out of our naughty boy lives to do this big thing. And I was like, have we established that they were all like criminals and then they got recruited?
I don't think they had, because I think that's where Tom Cruise's, Ethan's backstory with Gabriel, I think they sort of retrofit that to an extent.
Yeah. I agree with you about the whole Hayley Atwell thing. I think she's great in this movie, and I think she plays this character great. I thought, as you said, their relationship wasn't earned. Her character is very much this sort of, fly-by-night, pickpockety, like a sort of Oliver type character that's like, oh, I'm so cheeky.
She's got that real young excitement, like where she's good at what she does.
Yes, but isn't used to their sort of heavy spy, international espionage world, people being murdered. She's like, oh, I just lift something from somebody's pocket and for money, la-di-da, I'm a fun criminal.
A fun-loving criminal, you might say.
There you go. And she is likable as an actress, but I think that for me, I just didn't like her character, because she is basically, I'm a criminal, and then like Tom Cruise is like, I need you. Yeah. I need your skills for this to work. And then she continues to basically sail him up the river at every given opportunity. She basically just leaves him to die constantly throughout the movie.
And runs away when his only thing is, if you stay there, it'll be all right.
Yes. And yet we're supposed to kind of be on his side and be like, she's great. We're going to have to recruit her. She's got no experience in killing people and international espionage, and she's basically fucked the whole team off constantly. Yeah. Let's bring her in. I just could not get on board with it. Yeah. In spite of her great performance, and by the end, you're sort of like, okay, fine, like this is happening whether I like it or not. So I got to get on board.
really liked the character. I just thought they played it in an odd way. Like I think without spoilering, I think like,
well, okay, let me just say this before. Can we have like 5 minutes of deep spoilers? I will. Let's flag up. I'm flagging it now. Deep spoiler territory. I'll put chapter marks on the episode. So if you want to skip ahead, this is the deep spoiler section. And I'm deliberately making this intro quite long because maybe someone's listening to it in the car or on a smart speaker somewhere. And they're like, oh no.
Deep spoilers starting in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, you've had your deep spoiler.
Deep spoiler warning.
Yeah. Rebecca Ferguson's death.
Livid.
Yeah. Real disservice to that character in a
really
weird way.
Did her dirty.
But also only because of Hayley Atwell's character. Whereas Hayley Atwell's character, again, if that had come where the whole focus has been on Cruise and her's relationship, you would have been like, fuck. And if Hayley Atwell, which she had done, had been focused on as someone who disrupts the mission, but for some reason they need her, and then that guilt, which is kind of what they use, is what propels her to help them. Yeah. If that had just been balanced, the whole drive of that thing, instead of focusing on trying to give chemistry between two characters who have just met, focus on the long-term history, especially when you're 7 films in, you can do that. And I think that was my only issue with this film, and the
aforementioned
AI expositions.
Yeah. I mean, I've got so many questions. I mean, the first of which is, if she's not dead, I don't know how I feel about that. Because on the one hand, I'm like, I think you've really fucked up killing that character, because she was a breath of fresh air in the series, and her and Cruise's relationship has been great. She's as good, if not better than him at everything he does. Right?
I don't think it's a fuck up killing the character, especially not given the way Gabriel is as a villain.
I think you could have killed Peg or Rames and had the same motivation. They're best friends. And then what do you lose?
Yeah. It's strange, isn't it? It's but again, like, you get it, because you need to take something away deeper than friendship. like you need to take something personal, which, you know, again, that's been a whole thing in Mission Impossible. You can't have a normal life. You can't have this. You
Yeah.
can't have that.
And are they technically love interests, or are they just right on the precipice?
They have that moment where they suggest that this is deeper than anything else. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's real.
I was just caught off guard, but not in a good way. Because also it's sort of a bit throwaway. It's not like
again,
they don't really milk it, and it's not one of those like no moments. It's like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Wait, what? Oh, fuck off! You're kidding me. You're now just gonna like replace her with this new lady.
It's strange because like this is its strength, but also like where it falls down. So when they split up after the deal in the club, I would have liked to attract Rebecca Ferguson's character, but obviously, and like, I'm not going to fault the filmmaking. The filmmaking in this is insanely good, but like for some reason they obviously always want to focus on again, probably for time as well and pacing. They always stick with Cruise, whereas when she just pops up at the end, I feel like if she'd been through a journey, like you'd seen what she'd been through to get to that point, even just on that little chase, that whole scene would have had more oomph to it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But
It
again,
just
that
felt-
whole I say that whole scene is brilliant where he's running through, because again that's one of the AI things that they do now. They can recreate voices again.
Yeah.
Deep
Yeah.
spoiler. The AI takes over. I'm not calling it an entity. The AI takes over, and it mimics Simon Pegg's voice in real time and throws him down the wrong path. I thought, what a fucking good device to use.
That is great. And it is very, very of the now. It feels like incredibly relevant.
Yeah, I always think about this as well. Like because Mission Impossible has always been tech focused. I forget that Mission Impossible 1 has the biggest laptop and floppy disk you've ever seen. It's a 4.3 laptop as well on a plane. It's like a briefcase.
Incredible scenes.
Like that's how long this series has been going.
That's mad, actually, isn't it? Also, how quick tech advances.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
as you say, these things in 2 years' time, this will be like, remember when we thought that's what AI was? For me, just to let's close off the spoilers section so we can welcome back the throngs of people. But in case I quickly mention it, we'll keep this within that section. For me, the film didn't really come alive until that Venice section. I think it starts quite slowly. There is that incredibly long scene with the League of Gentlemen's Mark Gatiss and Comedy's Rob Delaney that just seems to go on where they're just like plot stuff, and it's like, oh my goodness. And then a mysterious man creeps in and you're like, I wonder who this will be for ages.
That was really, for me, the beguiling thing of how no one mentions how weird that he's feeling.
I know.
But
no one even says, all right, mate.
I think to its credit, I think it paced really well. I think the little again, I think we're out of spoilers now, but
okay, welcome back, people. I would say see the movie before you listen anyway, but we've skipped over the big spoiler, and I'll try not to mention it again.
we're just talking about pacing. If you did skip, I think the pace. The pacing is great. I think like the fact that you had the vignette to set up the capability of the AI, the idea
I liked that the pre-titles bit with the submarines,
the idea that it instantly, like, again, that is such an interesting, very clever way of doing this, because the idea that if an AI got out and it was in the cloud, it could exist anywhere, but the idea that its source code is contained in this one spot, it makes it like a treasure hunt. I thought that's a really good way to focus something
that's
that you
a good way of
can't-
describing it. Yes, it is a literal and figurative treasure hunt, or just literal, actually. Literally, they're literally searching for a treasure key.
Treasure key to open a
treasure chest,
Pandora's box.
There you
essentially. Go. I thought that was a really good way, and then I thought the scene in the desert was brilliant. I thought as an action scene that was absolutely pitch perfect.
For me, that fell quite flat.
Oh, I loved it.
It was a lot of dust and sort of bloodless shooting of people. I was hoping for more, and it didn't really go for me.
I thought again to set it. I thought the weirdly. So I'm going to talk about my favorite thing in this film now. I think where this film absolutely flies is any time Pom Klementif is on screen.
Okay.
Paris is her character, and I thought this is what it should have been.
Yeah,
that
she's
was
good.
What she is brilliant. That
She's
character is up
basically
there
a
with,
mega ninja.
yeah. She would have been one of the most iconic Bond villains of all time if that character was in Bond.
Yeah,
She was-
It did have strong Bond villain vibes, actually, didn't it?
But her character is absolutely incredible. Whenever there's an action scene with her involved in, it was brilliant. The little contained alleyway fight was excellent.
That was a highlight.
The way that she just did not give any fucks during the sort of chase scene in the car, which in itself was like incredibly choreographed, even though like they went for comedy beats a lot. But like again, where Mission Impossible absolutely flies in terms of action is, you know how good these people are supposed to be, so how do you handicap that, or how do you focus that? The idea that because Haley Atwell's character keeps flying, he's handcuffed himself to her and then got in on the wrong side of the car. I think that's just a great little thing to keep like interest in what is essentially going to be already a quite high adrenaline car chase scene. And I thought that when that scene started, when that scene finished, it was a thrill ride, and that is where Mission Impossible is best. And like all the stuff, like the absolute cream, and this is up there with the best of the series. They properly heist move it. They go to the Orient Express.
Yeah.
They literally put the treasure on one of the most iconic things ever, and they can't straight away go on it. And I think this is where, like, for all the little things we pick at, like we've just spent 30 minutes picking apart very minute things, because the actual pacing of this film is so well done. They always give a reason why they can't do something to mean that they can do it in a way that is incredible for cinema. So the whole bit, that whole sequence, the whole end half an hour is some of the best action that's ever been on screen. All practical, all moving through simultaneous narratives. They put little things in place, like they put a character on the train that shouldn't be there for the audience to give it an extra element of danger. They then introduce like character relationships you don't know about to give an extra element of danger. They can't get Tom Cruise on the train at a certain point because of an extra element of danger, even though Pom Klementif's character figured out a really easy way to do that.
Yeah, that was the only bit where I was like, did we? I mean,
but it was worth it.
We know he did the stunt for real, but the way it got to the stunt felt like we've sort of reverse engineered this so that he has to do a really big stunt.
The only thing I thought that, not missed, but I just wondered about it, I always thought it was going to come into play. Simon Pegg puts the car into self-drive mode. I just assumed the AI was going to take it over.
Yeah, not even mentioned.
Yeah, but I thought like, this isn't a film you go to watch to do what we just did, where we pull apart character and MacGuffins and things like that. You watch this because it is, on the biggest screen possible, some of the best cinema you'll see all year.
Too big in your case.
Yeah, it really hurt. It's still sore.
Yeah, and I do agree with you on that. And I think this is just where we're both going to land, that you just enjoyed it as a whole more than I did. I think I went in with the exact right expectations. I knew what I was in for. I loved the previous movies. And for me, this one just didn't quite deliver. I think the first sort of, before we get to the Venice scene, I found it just a bit middling. It didn't grip me enough. Also, I think the way this one is shot is quite deliberate, but also a bit jarring. A lot of Dutch angles, some very interesting bits of like crossing the line in conversations. Something took me out of it. I didn't love the character of Grace. When they get to Venice, things start kicking off a bit. It gets good. And then as it gets towards the end, it does start, or it does finish. It gets much, much better. Like, as you say, the bit from the big stunt that we've all heard about to the end, I think is very, very good. Yes. But I was already in a place where I was not looking at my watch, but I was a bit like, oof, I'm not feeling it in my chest, I'm not like, oh my goodness, what's going whatever happened when I saw John Wick, I was like, from the first scene, I was like, yes, mate. Whereas this, I was like, I'm ready, let's do this. And it didn't get me there till too far in.
I wasn't that pre-invested. I basically went in there, put my brain in neutral, and just really enjoyed it.
I think this is a rarity, but I stand with my convictions. This is how I felt watching the movie. Like, I think it's good, but I don't think it's up there with Fallout. But I am interested to see this again and see how I feel about it.
I
now.
think when part 2 pulls all these threads together, I think you're going to view this in a different way. I think they've done so much setup.
Right.
You can feel it already.
My concern with that is that's a lot of weight of expectation going into part 2. What if it doesn't? What if it's just fine?
I think they've done a lot of stuff as misdirection.
Yeah. I mean, part of me hopes there's a major misdirect, and I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about that.
I think it's going to deliver. I think all in all, if you're sort of on the fence about seeing this, just go and see it. Go and see it in the cinema.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely recommend seeing it. It's movies. It's Hollywood. It's Tom Cruise saves cinema part 4 or wherever we're up to.
It could be a great
right?
triple bill. Barbie, Oppenheimer, Mission Impossible.
You've got to put aside an entire weekend for that. What's Barbie coming in at? Probably like 2 hours 45.
I genuinely.
I bet Barbie's not under 2 hours.
I bet Oppenheimer isn't.
Oppenheimer is definitely long.
So my wife, very luckily, is going to an event screening of Barbie. So all I've got to do now is convince her to come to Oppenheimer with me. So Barbie, I've just got to find a window for. But I did want.
So you're going to see Barbie, but you're going to have quote unquote an excuse.
I can't wait for Barbie. I think Barbie is going to be my film of the year.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
1 hour 54 Barbie runtime.
Okay, fair play, Gerwig. You've come in under 2 hours there. Solid work. Yeah, this one is 2:45, and it
Oppenheimer 3 hours.
It feels a little baggy to me. This one, I think it could have been. There was a lot to pack in. There's a lot of exposition that gets exposited, and at times it felt long to me.
I think it's a Mission Impossible film. They've done more ridiculous stuff.
Yeah,
it's other than feeling very dated on their way of using AI.
Already, within a week of it coming out, it's somehow dated.
Again, this is me, though. I think it's perfect for filmmaking because you talk about what's current. But I always hate a man versus technology because I just think, like, Smash with Rock is not my approach to technology.
Fair.
But I think, again, my summary would be just go. Don't... Yeah. You're not getting a really deep film, but you are getting a really fun film, which is always what Mission Impossible has been.
It is, without doubt, a Mission Impossible movie. If you like Mission Impossible movies, you are going to like this.
Your mission,
I will say,
should you choose to accept it, it's just go to the cinema, support cinema, enjoy it.
Just support live comedy.
Boom, out.
I just think it's not the best Mission Impossible movie. That's probably where I'll leave
Nothing
it.
will
And
ever
I'd
top
say
Fallout.
It's not Chris McQuarrie's best Mission Impossible movie from the 3/4 that he's made so far.
It's still up there, though. I think you're still talking about a 4-star film.
I'm gonna say 3.5. Willing to revisit on second watch.
Yeah,
I think that's where I'm happy to leave it. My expectations were very high, and something with me didn't quite feel. I felt unsatisfied upon leaving. There was enough lingering thoughts that I was like, shame, because the train bit at the end is really great. I want to refer to it as the Uncharted train bit because it sort of does Uncharted better than Uncharted in a way. That was all really solid. The motorbike stunt that we've all watched the behind the scenes of, if we hadn't seen the behind the scenes of Tom Cruise,
it would have hit harder.
Would it have, or would you have just have been? I was sort of watching it going, I think I was more impressed by the behind the scenes.
Of course you are.
Because once all the CG goes in to disguise the ramps and all the stuff, and then you do see him doing it. But when he jumped out of the plane in the last one, it was like the camera was right in his face. And on this one, he kind of goes and then he goes off and jumps. And then you're like, well, I know it is him because you told me it is. But I don't see him.
I don't think
You
you got to
know?
worry about that. I don't think you got to worry about that.
It's very impressive.
Incredibly, though, it wasn't the best stunt work in the film.
Interesting.
I mean, in terms of actual stunts, yeah, it probably is. But
Yeah.
in terms of watching the stunt, I thought the car chase scene did some incredible stuff.
Yeah, I thought the car chase was good, but again, something about it, there was just, it was missing a little something. Maybe it was that they leaned too hard on the comedy beats for me in that part. But what I actually found more impressive than Tom Cruise flying off a cliff on a bike was the lead up to that, where he's sort of getting up this mountain, and it's Tom Cruise riding like a dirt bike, and then he just does a few quite big jumps.
Yeah.
And you very much see it is Tom Cruise's face. And he's just sort of like really casually doing that. And I was like, that's actually very impressive, because that is much harder than you think. And then when he jumps off the cliff, you don't see his face as much. Sort of was like, yeah, I mean, obviously, absolutely insane. In a way, I'm more impressed with your handling of the dirt bike at the beginning.
Nice. Action replay.
I haven't got an action replay on the tip of my tongue, so tell me yours and I'll do a
I
little
just
bit
thought
of
this was
brain
a very
boxing.
good sequence because the setup to it was perfect and the actual delivery of it was ridiculous. And I just thought this was a really fun thing, was the end of the train sequence when the train falls off the bridge and it goes carriage by carriage and they have to essentially ascend on a steep incline or vertically. I thought was great. I genuinely felt a sense of jeopardy in it. But also I thought it was such a good way to put danger into an already dangerous sequence. I just thought it put me in mind, really weird. It put me in mind of because it's not a great film, Jurassic Park: The Lost World, where the glass cracks. Just that idea of one mistake and you're fucked.
Yeah.
And every time you thought they were at the end, it went again. And I thought that was an amazing sequence. And I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. That whole sequence is great. And actually, that is a bit in the cinema where I was like,
They put a grand piano in it.
Really
great.
good idea. Yeah.
Great.
The fact that the train carriage went one way, it wasn't just it's falling over, but it was before it falls over, it goes the other way.
Yeah.
That was very smartly realized. I enjoyed that a great deal. Can we share that, or no, I'll pick, just for the sake of having a different one, the alleyway fight.
Yeah, that was my other one, I would say.
Which I think those are probably my two action highlights from the movie. It's not the best fight in an alleyway I've seen, but it's a very, very narrow alleyway. So I think that was quite a nice idea and quite well handled, I would say.
Pom Clementif, great.
Yeah. You know what I did think, rewatching Rogue Nation, that I missed a little bit in this, was there wasn't as much sort of hand-to-hand close quarters fighting in this movie, aside from that alleyway scene, which was quite good. But there's a few good scenes in Rogue Nation, and also Ilsa Faust gets a few good, she's like that sort of, she runs up guys and sits on their shoulders and flips them over.
Yeah.
That was a little lacking in this, but as you say, Pom Clementine, is that her name? Clementif. She gets to be the mega ninja assassin who takes out a lot of people in this movie.
And again, we've still got a half a film to go, essentially.
Well, I don't think it'll be the last we'll be seeing of her. No spoilers.
Right, I think we're out. I think we've done it.
Yeah. I think I'll meet you back here in hopefully 1 year for the sequel. Although with all the strikes going on, I feel like that might have some knock-on effects.
It's shot, though, isn't it?
Is it fully in the can? I'm not 100% sure.
Well, that's something to Google after, because we've got to get out of this podcast before we go down
right.
the tangent. This podcast will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
If you want to get in touch with us, or on Twitter at Dodge This Pod. Matthew and I are both on Twitter and Instagram. You can find us. If you want to be a subscriber to the podcast with real money, there's a link in the show notes. Otherwise, we will see you as soon as Jackie Chan and John Cena allow us to return. Goodbye!
Bye.